Hey guys, what's up? It's been a long time, hasn't it? Will back once again. We're here for UFC 249. Now, I'll be honest, I did not think this fight card was going to happen. I thought we weren't going to have UFC for a bit. We not had it for a couple of months. But I am convinced this is going to go ahead, and I think this card, if it does go ahead, it's a great looking card. UFC 249, Tony Ferguson against Justin Gaethje. Oh, I've got some sound problems there. There we go. Um, like I say, I hope you're all well. I just decided I wanted a complete break from YouTube for a little bit. Um, I spent all my time with my family, so on, so on. I had some personal stuff regarding um, family and that I had to deal with, changes in my life with my work and so on. So I just thought it was best to stay away. I had nothing really interesting to do. I had other things, but then this was coming. I knew this as soon as this card was coming up. I thought, right, I need to start getting back into it. I still wasn't sure whether I was going to put out a video because I wasn't sure it was going to happen. But with lockdown and everything kind of lifting, I thought it was definitely time to get back into it. And what a card for getting back into it there. So I apologise. I've not been around for 3 weeks. I was enjoying family time. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was the best thing for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I'm looking forward to getting some MMA and UFC back, and especially with this run of 3 cards in a week, which is kind of crazy. So I don't know how I'm going to cram all this in, watching fights and stuff. So hopefully you're all well. Hopefully you're looking forward to this card. We need some live sports. It's been a rough time with everybody. I just hope you're keeping well and keeping safe. Um, and hopefully this thing kind of passes within the rest of this year, and we can start getting back to this full time. So like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to get into this card. I can see you guys in the chat there. I really do appreciate it for you sticking around. I had some technical issues before getting started here. I'm going to get through this for you as quick as I can. So we're starting off, like I say, this is a great looking card. I'm kind of hoping that nothing falls off. I've got a funny feeling one or two things might fall by the wayside by fight time. But hopefully it's not the ones on the main card because there are some banging fights on there. Light heavyweight division, Ryan Spann against Sam Alvey. I'm going to go with Ryan Spann. I've said in previous videos I don't want to pick Sam Alvey ever again, even though he can be dangerous in certain fights and certain situations. But with someone like Ryan Spann, I think this is the type of fight that's going to kind of lift him. A little bit of a name in Sam Alvey, and a veteran who's been around for a very, very long time, and is someone who's always kind of dangerous. But I think if you game plan properly, that you can kind of easily beat Sam. But Sam's always going to be there, and he's always going to be hard to really kind of fight against. But when I look at Ryan Spann, very, very powerful, comes from a great gym. Who knows what's going on with all the gyms? That's another thing I should mention. With all this corona and stuff, what the hell's going on with training and so on. So it's, from a betting perspective, it's a really sketchy card. So you've just got to take from what you see on the tape. But then who knows what's going on in camps and so on. But like I say, taking it coming from a great camp, he's probably getting some good a good game plan with Safe Saud. I like that a lot more than what I'm seeing from someone like Sam Alvey. I think he has been kind of in and about from what I've seen the Instagram and so on, in and out the kind of gym, doing little bits and pieces. But I'm going to take the younger, more experienced guy, less experienced guy in Ryan Spann. But in saying that, when I say less experienced, he has got over 20 fights. He is on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC, coming off 4, 5, 6, 7 win streak, I think it is, with wins over Sordy, who won the PFL light heavyweight tournament, Rozenstruik, Little Nog, and I completely forgot the Devin Clark, actually, yeah. Devin Clark, where he kind of showed up, he's got a difference with his power. His other ones were by knockout, by decision. This one, he's got a little bit of submissions in there. So he's shown he's kind of got an all-around game, and he's got probably a guy, most experienced guy he's fought outside of kind of Little Nog and Sam Alvey here. And I just like him in this fight. I think that Alvey, when you look at where he's kind of going, I think he's at the tail end of his career. He's kind of accumulating losses. He's not looking good. He's never looked good in a lot of fights either. And especially now coming off 3 straight. But he might be fighting for his job here. But this might be the type of fight that, even if he loses, yeah, he might go for the PFL next year, fight in their tournament, maybe get some scalps over there. But I like Ryan Spann in this one. I think eventually that power's going to come through, and he's going to catch him clean, and he's going to hurt him. So I've got Ryan Spann. End of round 2, TKO. Bryce Mitchell against Charles Rosa. I'm struggling with this fight a little bit. Like, I've never really been on the Bryce Mitchell hype train, but obviously the kid's very, very, he's dangerous, because you've seen that with his last, and unpredictable. That's another word there that I was kind of thinking of there. Very unpredictable in many situations. Very scrappy. Obviously comes from Arkansas. Most of those guys that come out of kind of Arkansas and so on, very kind of scrappy country boys, like to throw down, never out the fight until they're theoretically out of the fight. But yeah, coming off that beautiful twister submission of Matt Sales was absolutely beautiful. Before that, beat Bobby Muffet, who has got a lot of experience, won some fights in the UFC, beat Tyler Diamond, which I thought was a big win for him. But he's got a really, really experienced opponent here in Charles Rosa, who's faced a lot of top guys in the UFC. Very headstrong, hard guy to kind of really face. And he's a hard guy to get out of there. You don't get too many people that get this guy out of there. I mean, I think the only guy I can think of off the top of my head was Shane Burgos. And Shane Burgos, we know, is a big power hitter. Once he gets in his stride and he pressures you, he can really put it on you. And he's coming off a win over Manny Bermudez, which a lot of people were going the other side. I thought Manny would submit him, honestly, but he showed that he's got some great grappling chops, good jiu-jitsu, and is very, very dangerous. I actually like Charles Rosa in this spot. I think that he can keep this fight close. I do kind of worry about his takedown defense a little bit. I think that Bryce might be able to get him down, but I think that's where it might kind of play into Rosa's hands, because I do think he's a very good guy on the ground. He's very experienced, and if you give him the right position, he can get you out of there, kind of like he did it with Manny Bermudez. Not many people were picking Charles Rosa via sub in that one. And that's where I think he can win at a very closely contested decision. I think it is going to be really close. I think there's going to be times in this fight where he's going to be fighting off his back. He might get a couple of sweeps or reversals. I see it being a scrappy back and forth fight, and I can see where people are kind of split 50-50 down the middle. But I'm going to take Charles Rosa in this one to come through via split decision. So yeah, Vicente Luque against Niko Price, a rematch from October 2017. I'm seeing a lot of people, just by peering on Twitter and some of the forums and stuff, really high on Niko Price. And I've never been high on Niko Price, but the guy is very, very dangerous. At any point in the fight, he's got very, very big power, and he can hurt you in a lot of different positions. So you have to be careful. He's a do or die fighter. He's a guy that if he doesn't get you out of there, he will be taken out. Kind of like this fight there, beat James Vick. But like Vicente Luque back in the day, he was like, he either wins or he gets knocked out, pretty much, or he loses. Like Al Hassani went in there, started throwing bombs with a big guy, and ended up that not looking too good in his record when he's getting blasted out inside a minute. But that can happen against Al Hassan. So, but when you go back and watch this fight, and I actually rewatched it this morning because I watched it about a week ago, kind of forgot about it. And Vicente Luque's coming off the loss to Leon Edwards in London, and Luque looked super polished, looked very calm, and in every kind of situation, was picking his shots, was throwing great leg kicks, was throwing great boxing combinations, where Niko Price just could not get off. And he is the lengthier fighter, and when he throws those shots, you can see that he's got good length and good striking, have decent kind of accuracy, but he is very long, and he can catch it in the punches. But it's when he starts into kind of crazy positions, that's when he can hurt you. So you always have to be careful of that. But as a more technical fighter, Luque, he could. I think he should come through and win this fight here. I thought he looked great in that fight, but what we've got to take from that fight since then is that Luque, the one thing I don't like is sometimes he fights to other fighters' advantages. So like Brian Barberena, he kind of get into a scrap there, which if he kind of sat back and just was a bit more technical, I think he could have picked him off, got him out of there earlier. So, yeah, but across the board, I think he is the better fighter, technically wise. The only thing is just that Niko Price is super unpredictable, big power, and if he catches you, he usually gets you out of there. But I like Vicente Luque. I don't think I'm going to bet him at the odds he's at. You could have him as a parlay piece. I'm not going to be betting him, I don't think, in this fight, but I think he stops Niko Price. I think on the ground is where he's got a definitive advantage. On the feet, I think he's got an advantage. He's a more crisper striker, but I think that once this hits the mat, I think he can lock up another choke like he did in the first fight. So I'm going to go Vicente Luque via sub in round number 2. Uriah Hall against Jacare Souza. Some love for Uriah Hall. I liked what I seen of him his last couple of fights against Bevon Lewis, against Antonio Carlos Jr., where you can see that the safe Saud from Fortis MMA, having a guy like that who's so structured and can help you improve parts of your game, and it can influence a fight. I like Uriah Hall. I like that move to Fortis MMA, but like I say, who knows what's going on with camps at the minute, so how much he's been in and out of the gym, what he's actually doing. But he has looked good. I thought he even looked good in the Borrachina fight, even though he was he got blasted out eventually. Showed a really good job. He's obviously got very dangerous striking, very unpredictable striking, throws a lot of spinning attacks. But he showed that he can fight off submissions in that Antonio Carlos Jr. fight, where I initially thought once Carlos Jr. gets him down there, I thought that could be good night Irene. But I actually bet Uriah Hall in that fight because I thought, right, he's bound to make advancements in his game to not get submitted, and I thought if he doesn't get submitted early, then he could instantly come into this fight. Now, he did get taken down a couple of times there, he did have his back taken, but he showed that he's got some grit and determination. I was actually listening to Michael Bisping's podcast a couple of days ago, and he retold a story of when him and Uriah Hall used to do drills, jiu-jitsu drills, and Bisping would get back to his feet. He was the more kind of experienced guy, done jiu-jitsu for years, but Uriah Hall, he could not go off his back against Bisping until late in that kind of 5-minute period, and then he started teeing off actually in Bisping, which you're not supposed to do. So and when you're looking at Souza, he's definitely at the tail end of his career now. That move up to 205 against Jan Blachowicz, he did not fight a good fight. There was people out there that thought he won that fight, and I was like, no. He barely threw any output, could not establish his game plan of getting the fight to the ground, which I thought he would have. I really did think he'd get the fight to the ground, could not do it. And that's the kind of worry here, that he doesn't get the fight to the ground, but he's against a guy who I think is a little bit less of a grappler than what Jan Blachowicz is in Uriah Hall. And I think on the feet, Souza just has to be kind of careful. He doesn't get hit with any kind of big bombs, and just try and use your strengths. I think that he can get Uriah Hall down here pretty comfortably, but it's hard to see like Jacare's maybe motivation. I was reading something this morning again regarding like he's using his wife's CrossFit stuff, and that's how he's getting ready, and he's not going down to the fight card till 2 days beforehand, which I think is actually pretty smart. But it's hard to see Jacare ever kind of making a run for the title. What's up, Moise Audio? I hope you're doing well. But I like, and Jacare at -120, I actually really like, because I think that if he gets down to the ground, there'll be large parts of this fight where he will be on the back, or he will be in a dominant position, and he has the opportunity to submit him. Just don't stand on your feet with Uriah Hall, and don't get too confident in your striking, and use your strengths, which I think you have. So I'm going to pick Ronaldo Jacare Souza via submission. I'm probably going to go late first round, but I'm a little bit kind of wary about that one. But I like the line. -120 is a line I am really looking at for betting, so yeah. Women's strawweight division, Carla Esparza against Michelle Waterson. And Carla Esparza is just one of those girls that she's really tough to kind of fight against, because you can see that she's always been one of the better kind of fighters in that division, even when she was Invicta and she came through and she became UFC champion. Obviously got dethroned by Joanna, but she's a girl that will clearly kind of win some fights, lose some fights, but she's very strong grappling, and that's where she's probably going to win this fight here if she wins this fight. I don't think she outstrikes Michelle Waterson, even though Michelle Waterson's kind of a kick first fighter, but she can usually mix it up with her hands. She can get takedowns as well, but I very much doubt she's going to get takedowns on someone like Carla Esparza. She might get a sweep or so. That's where this fight's going to be won and lost. If she can stop Carla taking her down predominantly, and saying that, Carla Esparza's striking's actually really improved over her last few fights. Going back to the Gaethje fight, I want to say a couple of years ago, you've seen that it's definitely got better. You've seen that in the Grasso fight, where she was landing some nice crisp, clean shots on Grasso, and mixing that in with her takedowns. That's what I think she has to do in this fight. But I think Michelle Waterson can give her trouble in these spots, and I think this is another one of these fights, the same as Charles Rosa and Bryce Mitchell, that could be very, very close if she does not establish a kind of dominant takedown game. So I I think I'm going to pick Michelle Waterson, even though I'm a little bit apprehensive, because you look at Michelle Waterson, she does get taken down. I thought she was in her best form before that Joanna Jędrzejczyk fight, where she just got blasted and outworked, out-hustled by Joanna, and that can happen because that's Joanna. You're fighting a kind of similar game plan in that one. She even got taken down against Joanna, which was a little bit... I feel this might be a silly pick on my side. I'm going to go Michelle Waterson via split decision. Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think there's points where she can win rounds, but it's not a fight I'm ultimately looking to bet on, so I'll pick Michelle Waterson to win a split decision there, but not super confident. It's going to go on my least confident picks side there. Alexey Oleynik against Fabricio Werdum, who's returning. How long has Fabricio been out for? A couple of years? Let me just bring that up. Fabricio Werdum, March 2018, so a 2-year layoff after coming off that loss to Alexander Volkov, who Volkov's actually, when you watch Greg Hardy and Werdum, actually a really solid heavyweight with a good skill set and is very, very tough. So coming off a loss to him, it is not too bad. Before that, he beat Walt Harris very, very quickly. Beat Marcin Tybura over 5 minutes where he outstruck him completely in that fight. But 2 years off at this point of your career is dangerous. 42 years old, but he is facing someone, Alexey Oleynik, who is, he's been around for years as well, but his main kind of strength is kind of jiu-jitsu and so on. That shouldn't work against a guy like Werdum, and I don't expect that to happen, but it's hard to know what Verdum's coming in here. So when you go skill for skill, Werdum is the higher caliber fighter in my opinion, and that's why I'm going to pick him. But just be careful, because sometimes, who knows, he might get caught at one of the end of the punches of Oleynik. He throws really awkward punches, and it's probably got that kind of old man power where if he catches you with something clean, he could ultimately hurt you. But this is a fight I'm not looking to really bet on, but my pick's going to be Werdum, even though he's coming off a 2-year layoff. I'm going to pick him. I think he can actually TKO Oleynik kind of in the mid part of this fight once he starts tiring down. Maybe gets on top, maybe some ground and pound. So I've got Fabricio Werdum to win that fight via TKO round number 2. I never thought I'd be breaking down this fight again after I did it 7 years ago. Donald Cerrone against Anthony Showtime Pettis. What a weird fight, and what a hard fight to pick, for the simple reasons that I think both guys are on the downward spiral. Most people will know I'm a big Anthony Pettis fan. The guy kind of quits on himself a little bit. He has done recently, but he's been doing it against top guys. And when you go back and even, I suppose I should start from this fight when they fought in Chicago 2013. Pettis absolutely ran through him. Absolutely ran through Donald Cerrone. And was doing it in every facet of his game as well. I'm hearing a lot of people say, oh, Anthony Pettis is just a kicker. And for the most part he is. He's always been that. The thing is with Pettis is striking. I think he's a really good boxer. He's just got no power in his hands. But in saying that, you can see certain points where he drops people like Ferguson, or, he caught Wonderboy and knocked him out with like a Superman punch off the cage. So there's obviously something there. I think he's always had problems with breaking his hands. It's a little bit susceptible with that. But he absolutely destroyed Donald Cerrone in that fight and did it inside a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, and absolutely folded him with a body kick. Hit him once, you seen Donald clasp up his abs, did it again, was absolutely vicious in the finish. But since then, both guys have kind of kept on fighting. Cerrone's going to keep on fighting here, there, everywhere that he can really fight. But is he coming back a little bit too soon? Coming back from the January knockout to Conor McGregor. The thing I'm worried about is, like, I don't know if you guys seen the Brett Okamoto interview with Donald Cerrone. He said that Cowboy didn't turn up. So you're betting on a guy that you don't know what guy's going to turn up. Is it going to be Donald? Is it going to be Cowboy? That's a little bit hard to really lay down money on and be confident in that spot. But again, Anthony Pettis is a guy that can ultimately break if you can get him, and he does it. He could be getting beat up. He'll go back to his corner. He doesn't want to go out there anymore, or Duke Rufus will pull him out. He'll ask him. So really hard fight to kind of pick between. You've got obviously the Muay Thai. You've got the Muay Thai or the kickboxing of Cerrone against the Taekwondo of Anthony Pettis. I think Pettis is very, very dangerous with his jiu-jitsu also. Cerrone might want to use maybe takedowns in this fight. The way I kind of see the fight going is, I think Pettis can get him out of there early, but if this fight goes late, I think that Cerrone could really come into it if he doesn't get hit with the big shots that affect his body or whatever. But it's such a tough fight to pick between, because I cannot trust either one of these guys in this spot. I think this is Anthony Pettis' last fight with the UFC. He's got one fight and I've heard that he's not re-signing, so this could be the last hurrah for him in the UFC. Could be wrong on that, but I think I'm going to pick Anthony Pettis. I think this is a fight that is a little bit more well matched him to what previous fights were with Tony Ferguson and so on. He's losing to top guys. Cerrone in his case is the same, but I'll pick Anthony Pettis. I'm seeing a lot of love for actually Donald Cerrone betting wise. I've had a couple of people ask me about it. I'm just like, no, dude, don't bet this fight. Just stay clear. I'm going to pick Anthony Pettis via TKO. I'm actually going to go round one. I think he could catch him with some shots. I still think that he can, with upright stance, a cowboy, he can catch him with some good counter strikes, or be the one leading with the pressure as well. So, but if this goes late, then you might be on Cerrone's side. So I'm going to go Anthony Pettis. I'm going to go first round TKO on that one there. Moving on to the main card, Greg Hardy against Yorgan de Castro. A lot of love for Yorgan de Castro, and it's coming off a knockout against Justin Tafa, which I bet Justin Tafa against Juan Adams, but that's against Juan fucking Adams. I'm going to bet majority of people against Juan Adams. So, yeah, I mean, he's coming off that win, but like I'm not overly impressed. I wasn't impressed on the Dana White Contender Series. Nice to see kind of new blood coming into the UFC in the heavyweight division, especially when, I don't know how old he is, 33, so that's still kind of relatively young in kind of heavyweight aspects. But I think it was Alton Meeks the fight there. I watched 3 or 4, I think it was 3 of his fights, and I'm not overly impressed with what I see. I mean, Justin Tafa kind of ran into that punch. And when you do that at heavyweight, if you're running into a punch with a big guy like Yorgan de Castro, you could get knocked out, and that's ultimately what happened. What I do like about Yorgan de Castro is his kicking game. I think that's where he's got a definitive advantage in this fight here, is his kicking game. He throws a lot of kicks, which could throw Greg Hardy off his rhythm. And we've seen a bigger sample size from Greg Hardy in the UFC, and he is coming off a loss to a guy I mentioned before in Volkov, who I think is a top 5 guy in that division. And that was a big jump up from your Juan Adams to your Ben Sassoli, and he got clearly beaten, no doubt about it, but I don't think he looked out of place there. But yeah, outside the kicking game, I'm interested to see what Yorgan de Castro has. I don't think I've really maybe seen enough of him in the kind of UFC level. Greg Hardy, big athletic guy. Not many people are kind of on his side after his whole things with assaulting women back in the days. Nobody's ever going to be on your side for that. But he's a guy that kind of pulls stunts in there. The Alan Crowder thing, and then there was the Ben Sassoli thing with the fucking inhaler. So it's kind of batshit crazy with this guy. I don't think I would ever bet Greg Hardy in a spot either way, but I like him to win this fight. I think he's the bigger guy. I think he's got a longer reach off the top of my head. But I think people are being brought in by the line on Yorgan de Castro. I think he was as high as plus 175, which is it's actually a good line, so I can see the value in that. But for me, I'm going to go Greg Hardy. I think that he wins I think this is going to be a pretty lacklustre heavyweight fight, and he wins the decision there. So I've got him in that spot. How did the referee or Din Thomas? Yeah, I know, crazy. And he's not. That's another thing actually. GTMMA is a new guy on YouTube. Go and subscribe to his channel. I'm going to do it after this. Sorry, I forgot. But Din Thomas is not going to be in his corner, which is the guy who's always been in Greg Hardy's corner. So I don't know whether he's going to have Mike Brown or whoever from ATT in his corner. But that could be a big thing in this fight, but I'm still going to stick with that there. This is the fight I'm looking forward to. Jeremy Stephens against Calvin Kattar. This was one I looked into a lot. I like both guys. I have been a big Jeremy Stephens fan for years. For the amount of longevity and the amount of fights that guy's got in the UFC is crazy. And then when you look at Calvin Kattar, I think it's a beautiful, pure striker, who I still think is coming into his own in his career in the UFC, and he's established himself. I don't think that's a bad loss against Zabit. We all know if that goes 5 rounds, he probably beats Zabit because he was coming into it in that 3rd round. He clearly won that. Zabit was kind of fading a little bit, but he's a guy with beautiful striking, beautiful counter striker, beautiful footwork, and a beautiful shot selection as well. But he's against a guy in Jeremy Stephens who you know at all times you have to mind your P's and Q's, because that guy has got some fighting and power. Can knock you down, can knock you out at any point. And this is where I think that he may initially start to really, he might pick off Jeremy Stephens a little bit. But I think once some of those power shots maybe start landing, or maybe if Jeremy Stephens uses a leg kick heavy game plan, which he's did in the past, and Calvin Kattar sometimes can be a little bit heavy on that side, that he could start to chop at those legs and ultimately start to really hurt him. And I think this fight's going to be relatively close. The betting line, I think, is off. I think the betting line should be close. I don't think you have... Let me bring this up. Where is this, guys? Calvin Kattar, minus 240, plus 200 on Jeremy Stephens. I don't like that line at all. I think that should be a lot lower. I have Kattar as a favourite, but minus 150 tops. I think that Jeremy Stephens is a very live fighter in this one. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think he needs to mix up the leg kicks, because obviously he's at a technical disadvantage, but he is at a power advantage if he can get the shots off. That's what I'm a little bit worried about. But Kattar can be there to be hit at a little bit. And like I say, I've been a massive fan of Jeremy Stephens. When you see this strength of schedule this guy's had for as long as he's had it in the UFC, that's kind of crazy. And he's fought the who's who of people in the UFC, and he's did it. How long has the guy actually been in the UFC for? Because I feel like I've been watching him forever and ever. UFC 71, 2007. This guy's a legit veteran in the UFC. So a lot of losses, obviously, a lot of wins. Most of his losses are to legit guys: Moicano, Edgar, Swanson, Aldo Zabit. So I mean, and in that fight, what I liked about that fight with Yair, he was clearly getting picked apart. He lost the first 2 rounds, but he started to come into it again in the 3rd round, like Calvin Kattar did. And I think if he can make one of the first 2 rounds very close, he can take over later on. So I'm going to pick Jeremy Stephens to win here via very close decision. Again, this could be a split decision. I just think the odds are a little off. I think the fight could play out a lot closer than what the line suggests. And I think that Stephens has got some of the attributes that can maybe actually hurt Calvin Kattar there. But I am a big fan of both guys. It's going to be hard to see one of these guys lose. Trajectory-wise, I would like Calvin Kattar to win, because I think he could give some great fights going forward. But I have Jeremy Stephens winning this fight there. So yeah. Francis Ngannou against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I think it was a early insight for this one, and I thought Jairzinho Rozenstruik might actually kind of win a boring decision. And maybe the long time that we've kind of had off, I've managed to watch majority of both guys' fights, and it's just like, do I really want to be betting against Francis Ngannou and relying on it being a bad fight again, like we had against Derek Lewis? I don't think I can. But it could kind of play out that way, and if it plays out that way, it might maybe actually go in the part of Rozenstruik if he doesn't get hit clean. So I can see where my kind of mindset was going back a month ago. But I'm struggling to pick against Francis Ngannou here, even though if it plays out to be a kind of boringish kind of fight where nobody's kind of going for the jugular and trying to knock people out. I've got Francis Ngannou here. I've never really been on the Rozenstruik. I think I picked against Rozenstruik pretty much every fight. Not every fight. I definitely didn't pick him against Alan Crowder. I did pick him against Alan Crowder because Crowder kind of sucks. But I thought Arlovsky would kind of give him the vet performance. Didn't happen there. Overeem was on his way to winning that fight, but then got knocked out in the final 10 seconds. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Francis Ngannou. Like I say, this could turn out to be a bad fight, and if it does, then Jairzinho at those odds might be a live kind of bet, maybe even by decision. I don't know what the odds are for that, but I'm going to pick Francis Ngannou. I think he catches him. I think he does it at the end of round number 1. So I've got the Predator to win that one there. Ooh, what a great fight this is. Henry Cejudo, the bantamweight champion, Triple C or whatever he calls himself these days, against Dominick Cruz, who makes his return yet again. One of the guys, you cannot. The guy's an innovator, in my opinion. He is one of the guys that you watch his footwork, and we're going back like 10 years ago now, where that footwork was prevalent back then. He was the one that brought it to the forefront, and I think he's a live fighter in this fight. People have been going on about, but he's coming back after a layoff. Well, he did that against Takeya Mizugaki. He did that against TJ Dillashaw. He's a guy that's always said that ring rust does not affect him. It's all kind of mentally, how you kind of prepare yourself and stuff like that. But that's a big jump going from his last fight against Cody Garbrandt, where I actually read this morning, I did not know this until this morning, that he was getting Botox injections in his legs, because his legs he was struggling with his legs a little bit. So he, like most fighters, most guys are not going into fights 100%, but he relies so much on his in and out movement, his resetting of attacks and feints and so on, that he needs that. And Cody kind of let him come in, and then he got caught with big counter strikes, and that's what happened in that fight. And that was a great performance by Cody Garbrandt, but that's 3.5 years ago now. So he's making another comeback against Henry Cejudo, who really turned the tide in that fight against Marlon Moraes. I watched it again this morning, and what a comeback that was. I mean, that first round, he was getting brutalised. He was getting tenderised. His leg was done. He was struggling. He got caught with a big shot at the end of that round. And then he made what all great champions make in his massive adjustments. And he made that adjustment to get in there, apply the pressure instead of sitting back and let Marlon apply that pressure. Got him in the clinch. And Marlon Moraes was so bad in that clinch. I mean, he was just letting him tee off in knees and uppercuts. And then eventually in the third round, the gas started to go, I think it was the third, started to go with Marlon, and he ultimately got taken out. But when you look at him as a fighter, why I think Dominick Cruz might be live in this fight here, is that Henry Cejudo goes forward, where against someone like Dominick Cruz, who feints and pivots to sides, could ultimately not be there to take strikes. And that's where he might be able to get some shots off on Henry Cejudo. When it comes to the grappling part, I think Dominick Cruz is an unbelievable scrambler, really hard to take down. I think he could get him down, but I do think that Cruz will be able to jump back up relatively quick. Honestly, if you got Dominick Cruz at plus 200 odds, to me that's value. It's a little bit, I don't think the odds in that, what's he at now? Plus 185. Plus 200's a little off. Even though he has taken a break, he has come back against a kind of newer caliber fighter, a newer generation fighter, who is super dangerous. We've seen him, he's got knockout power. And if he's been doing that at 125, knocking guys out, and then going up to 135 and knocking out TJ and knocking out Marlon and hurting Marlon as well with big shots, he can do that to Dominick Cruz. This could be one of these fights that Dominick Cruz gets dropped a couple of times because he's maybe getting caught at the end of shots when he's moving out to the sides. That's, I think, a big part of maybe catching and taking someone like Dominick Cruz kind of out of his rhythm, is maybe catching those shots. But Cruz is a hard guy to stop. I don't think he's ever been stopped since the Faber submission years and years and years ago. I think Dominick Cruz is a live fighter here. I do. But I haven't got the balls to pick him. I think Cejudo's going to do enough because he makes good adjustments in fights. And we've seen that a couple of times now in the Demetrius fight. We've seen that in the Marlon fight. The guy makes really, really good adjustments through fights. So I'm going to pick him to win a decision. I don't know what Dominick Cruz is by decision. That might be some kind of juicy odds there. or maybe not actually, but if you're picking Dominick Cruz, I wish you all the best. I'm going to go Henry Cejudo via probably a 49-46 decision there. And moving on to our main event, yikes, Tony Ferguson against Justin Gaethje, fireworks. Yeah, what a great main event. You've got a couple of guys here. I actually think the fight cancellation a little bit back has maybe helped Justin Gaethje get ready for Ferguson. If that fight was taking place like a month ago, like they were trying to do, I don't think that would have ended well for Justin Gaethje. Now, I'm still on the Tony Ferguson side in this fight. If I'm being honest, nothing's really changed for me. But obviously, I know that Justin Gaethje is a knockout threat at any point, and Tony, I think the worst part about his whole entire game is his striking defense. I think he gets hit far too much. He gets dropped a lot. But he is devastating in his attack. I mean, both guys are actually. When you look at Gaethje, I mean, he's blessed with big power, massive shots in the pocket where he can hurt people. But he is one of these guys that needs to get in close. I think he's one of these guys that could get picked apart at range very easily if fighters wish to do that. But he makes it such a pressure-filled fight that you have to play his game, and that pressure does not. Some people don't like that pressure. Barboza crumbled it in minutes in that fight to pressure from Gaethje, but I don't think that Tony's the type of fighter that this pressure he'll come off with there. So, but like I say, Gaethje rips it kind of either side. He can throw massive kicks, massive power, but he himself can be broken down. And this is what I think that Tony Ferguson could do here. He could ultimately just break down Justin Gaethje, but he might have to come through some hard times to kind of do so. There's a lot of people very confident, or they're taking Gaethje for the upset. I think I've seen Stephen in the chat there, and I don't blame you. I actually really like Tony Ferguson here for. I like the look on betting wise. -175 to me, I quite like that, but I can maybe see that if I could get -150, I think I'll be all over that. But there's probably a chance I do bet Tony Ferguson at some point. If it comes a little bit lower, but I could easily see myself maybe parlaying him up with someone like an Ngannou or something like that. More dynamic striker is definitely Tony Ferguson. I think he uses everything more, and he's a little bit more unpredictable. And he's a little bit more. I think he can fight at range, so I think he could pick apart Justin Gaethje a little bit more than what previous opponents could. I think he'll jab that. I think that there's times where he will hit him with consecutive jabs and follow that up with strikes. So I'm on the Tony Ferguson kind of bandwagon here. Jamal saying he'll get pieced up. That's a very dogs on the move. But yeah, I think that could be the case here, and I think that Gaethje can be, once his durability starts to fade, he can ultimately be taken down, taken out, I should say, and hurt. And I've got Tony Ferguson winning this fight here. The guy's a crazy man. Like, he decided he wanted to make weight for that fight that was not going to happen anyway, just out of principle. So the guy's nuts. I've got a funny feeling that once Justin kind of enters in close, that he could start getting ripped up with elbows and leg kicks, and I just think he's going to take a lot of damage in this fight. Would it surprise me if he catches Tony and puts him down? No, because you look at Tony Ferguson, he gets dropped. Like I say, his worst thing is his striking defense. So he could get hit at any time, and with the power that Gaethje has, he could put him out. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets dropped in this fight here, but I've got Tony Ferguson. I've got him via a win in this fight, and kind of in the mid part, third round, fourth round maybe. But yeah, that's my fight picks. I hope you're happy. You guys, I hope you guys are happy that fights are back. I'm back. I'm happy to be doing fight predictions again. It's been a while. I think I made the right choice to stay away and just kind of recharge the batteries, because, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. It's been great to see you guys in the chat there. I really do appreciate it. Like I say, if you're new to my channel and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, because I know that I've been looking through my analytics and stuff. There's a lot of people that don't subscribe to my channel, but if you could, that would exponentially grow my channel, and that would be fantastic, and help an old guy kind of make his channel a bit bigger here. So, but also go subscribe to the other guys on YouTube. there's been guys out here during the virus, what's been going on, the pandemic, that have been putting out content, whether it's streams and whatever it may be. They guys are on the grind all the time, so go and hit them up, subscribe to them. And like I said, the GT MMA, you probably know him as Jack Attack. You've probably seen him in many chats, streams, whatever it may be. He's a new predictor, and we need more guys coming on here. So go subscribe to his channel, like I'm going to do right now. So all you guys, all you fellas, whatever it may be, enjoy the fights when they come around next week. I'm going to be looking into the Wednesday card. I'm actually on holiday from next week, so I'm going to be looking into the Wednesday card, and then the Saturday card, which I think is Teixeira against Anthony Smith, and Overeem against Walt Harris is the weekend after, because next Sunday's my birthday, so I'm looking forward to a birthday card on the Saturday night. So all the best, guys. Take care. Been 40 minutes here, which I didn't expect to go that long on, but I appreciate you guys sticking around. All the very best. Take care, and stay